Saturday night and a weather-perfect baseball night in San Diego. NL West rivals the first-place Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. Ex-Padre Adrian Gonzalez, his 26th home run last night, his 7th against San Diego this season. And for the Padres, Jed Jerko, since returning from El Paso, he's had .299. He's hit 7 home runs, and he's homered in back-to-back games against the Dodgers. And we're set to go at Petco Park. Pleased you've joined us on this Saturday night. Mark Sweeney for Mark Grant, Dick Enberg. And here we go. The Dodgers, 5 home runs last night. They have 162 this year to lead the National League. And 7 of their 8 runs came by way of the home run.
Power-packed lineup, and they do it. And you can see that they have intent up there. They also strike out quite a bit. And you can see last night, they lived on the home run, driving the ball to all fields. You see Adrian Gonzalez going the opposite way. He has struggled up to this point with it, but that home run swing is what the Dodgers are really relying on. You see the percentages, but if you think about it, Dick, Tyson Ross limits those plays because Tyson Ross understands how to work down in the strike zone. That two-seam success, you see the names on that list, it really speaks volumes. Kevin Brown in 1998, he had a great year, but Tyson Ross has better numbers than even Kevin Brown.
But that 0.27 is the best in all of the major leagues. So you have the best home run hitting team matched up against the pitcher who gives up the least number of home runs. Who will prevail tonight?
It's going to be interesting, and I love this matchup because Tyson Ross has been hot.
Well, Will Myers is back, and Ali Sturm will visit with the outstanding first baseman outfielder, the Energizer, and we'll get Will Myers' thoughts about being back in the lineup and also his feelings about another Will. Padres baseball brought to you by Petco. What we feed them matters. And by Sony's Action Cam. Prove yourself.
Welcome back to Petco Park. It's Game 3 of a 4-game series versus Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'm joined by Will Myers. Will, how difficult was the time off, and how excited are you to be back?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I'm a guy that likes to stay active, but being on the DL when the team's on the road, just being here by myself, it was really tough. But it's really good to be back out on the field. It's been too long, since I played, but it's been exciting to be back.
What's the comfort level with your swing right now?
I feel good. My swing feels good. My wrist feels good. Yesterday my timing was a little off, but I'm looking to rebound today and make an adjustment.
And I know you had a chance to meet Will Ferrell during spring training. He's going to be coming back tonight. He's debuting his documentary, Ferrell Takes the Field. How excited are you to see him?
I'm pretty excited. He's my favorite actor. He's like a bucket list guy that I wanted to meet. But I'm really excited about him. Hopefully, I get some scenes in there. So I'm pretty excited to see him again.
A little FaceTime there. Well, coming up next, it's Game 3 of a 4-game series. It was a home run party last night. Both teams combined hit 8 home runs, tying the Petco record. We'll see if it continues tonight.
The ball hit deep to left center field. It's way back. And touch a ball. Hits it high and deep. Him will touch a ball. Myers, he just can't help himself. Hit another home run. And it was home run derby last night. 8 of them, 5 by the Dodgers. And here's a man who doesn't give up many, only 5 all season long, Tyson Ross, in 170-some innings of pitching. Well, the weather ideal, a perfect evening for Saturday night baseball in San Diego, 76 degrees. And we're ready to go as Ross is completing his warm-up tosses with Derek Norris. And check of the Dodger lineup that Ross will face tonight, brought to you by Hyundai. Don Mattingly has him hitting this way. Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley, the former double-play combo in Philadelphia, will be 1 and 2. Then Adrian Gonzalez. Justin Turner hits cleanup. Andre Ethier 5th, and Carl Crawford. He's just been a menace against the Padres all year. Yasmani Grandal the opposite, 0 for 30, 0 for the last 30. Jock Peterson bats 8th, and Alex Wood on the mound batting 9th.
Time now for the Padres scouting report, brought to you by the Tilted Kilt. And for Tyson Ross, making his 29th start of the season. You've seen a lot more fastballs out of the hands of Tyson Ross. It's always the slider, but the two-seamer and the four-seamer, and be the ace. He has pitched like it. The last 14 starts, 7-2 with a 2.67 ERA, and the Padres are 11-4 in those starts.
He's not beaten the Dodgers in his career, and yet he has a terrific ERA. He's 0-5, but his ERA is 2.81. How can you not have at least one win? Well, maybe tonight's the night. Jimmy Rollins setting himself in the batter's box. Ross is warm and ready. Plate umpire Chris Conroy says play ball, and here we go on a terrific Saturday night in San Diego. Swing and a miss. He starts it with a fastball, and Rollins looking fastball. Dodgers have won 9 of their last 11 and have built their biggest lead of the season. Rollins, high fly ball, and Kemp trying to pick it out of that sunny sky, and one away. The Padres defense tonight brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. We've just seen Matt Kemp, Myers in center, and Upton over and left. On the infield, on the left side, Solarte and Barmas. Jerko and Norris defend the right side. Hedges behind the plate for Ross. Manager Pat Murphy once again using the rookie catcher Norris to handle Tyson Ross.
They've had really nice chemistry together, and they're building a trust factor, which is very important. Austin Hedges, the rookie catcher.
Chase Utley homered into the jack deck last night. His second home run as a Dodger. Last 4 games, he's 6 for 18 with a couple of homers. On the season, hitting only .220. 2-0. Here's the home run last night, just long enough to go out.
Well, down and in to a left-hander, and Chase Utley is that pickup that you know where you have a veteran presence that you can put in the lineup. It was a nice swing by the veteran second baseman.
Ground ball up the middle. He beats the shift with base hit. They had 3 lined up on the right side. Utley wisely goes right back at the vacant left side.
Well, shift to the right side, as you can see, all on that right, except that third baseman, and he works left of the second base, and just professional hitting by Chase Utley.
Shift does not always work. Normal alignment, that would have been a routine ground ball out to the shortstop. Adrian Gonzalez leading the Dodgers, 26 homers and 81 runs batted in. Another homer last night against his former team. 2 left field. In 14 games this year against the Padres, Gonzalez hitting .345. 7 of his 26 home runs have been against San Diego.
Well, a professional hitter, and he sits on pitches, sits on location. And when you talk about veteran hitters of Adrian Gonzalez and how they approach the game, they have a lot of history against a lot of these pitchers, and they'll pick out a spot of the plate and attack that until they get into a pitcher's count.
And now it's Ross with the advantage. 0-2. Flared to left and falling into the crowd. Row back.
We talked on our keys for Tyson Ross, and it's been fastball success, both the two-seamer and the four-seamer. That last pitch that Gonzalez fouled off, that's a four-seamer away, and Tyson is being more comfortable with his fastball command to both sides of the plate. Let's take a look at that last pitch, and the four-seamer, you can see Austin Hedges up out of the crouch and asking for that elevated.
Popped up. Solarte calling as he comes in on the grass behind the mound. 2 away.
Well, let's take a look at pitch by pitch to Adrian Gonzalez. Tyson Ross wants to attack that four-seam fastball on the edge. Had a little two-seam run too with a cutting action to get 0-2. Then they elevate to change that, and another cutter inside, in on the hands of Adrian Gonzalez. Very good pitching by Tyson Ross.
Here's Justin Turner. 3 for 6 in previous meetings against Ross with a home run. Still some sunshine, some splashes here and there, but a rough right field for Kemp and for Ethier when he takes the field defensively, staring into that setting sun.
Yeah, Jimmy Rollins flew out to Matt Kemp and he had to freeze to really pick out that baseball.
Off the head of the bat, a soft roller to Jerko, and it's an easy inning for Tyson Ross. Here come the Padres. They'll lead it off with Yan Solarte. Toward the playoffs, and here's the Padres lineup tonight, brought to you by Toyota. Yan Solarte will start things, and Jed Jerko, Matt Kemp, and Justin Upton 3 and 4 as per usual. Derek Norris hits 5th, and Will Myers in center field. Austin Hedges will bat 7th in front of Clint Barmas, and Tyson Ross brings a .250 batting average to the game, hitting 9th. Against Alex Wood, a 24-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Time now for the Dodgers scouting report, brought to you by Tough Shed. And for Alex Wood, funky delivery. You'll see the deception that he has in his motion, making his 7th start for the Dodgers. Also works down in the strike zone for the Padres. Try to elevate all his pitches: fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup.
Acquired from the Atlanta Braves at the trade deadline, and his first pitch is in there for a strike. Solarte in game 1 of the series hit that giant home run into the 3rd deck of the Western Metal Supply Company building, hitting right-handed. Padres faced Wood a year ago when he was with the Braves and beat him 5-2. Boy, in on the hands, and he gets Solarte, the toughest Padre to strike out.
Well, you see the deception in the delivery, that hand out, and just a funky delivery for Alex Wood. See a lot of body parts moving, and that's what you have to do. Try to pick up that release point, and sometimes very difficult, especially early in the twilight of this game.
Jed Jerko raising his average up to .246. Now with a dozen home runs. And he's never hit home runs in 3 consecutive games. One man one.
Sorry, Dick. Pat Murphy has a lot of right-handed hitting. Why? He holds left-handed hitters to a 152 average. This is Pat Murphy going with the right-handers tonight.
Another strike. All 9 batters in the lineup for San Diego from the right side. You see from this angle how much he will bring the ball behind his back. Look, he shows you the ball. Doesn't do any good. He struck out both Solarte and Jerko. Here's the LA defense, brought to you by the California Lottery. Crawford, Peterson, Ethier left to right in the outfield. Rollins and Utley, the double play combo. At the corners, Turner at third and Gonzalez at first. Grandal behind the plate. And Alex Wood on the mound. Here's Matt Kemp. 24-game on-base streak for Kemp. Don Mattingly's got his Dodgers 7.5 games in front in the West. Very comfortable lead. In fact, their biggest lead of the season. The Giants faltering of late with 7 straight losses. They're only 4 games ahead of Arizona and the Padres. Throwing strikes, Wood. And see how far behind his back. The hitter can see the ball there.
Yeah, and sometimes you're so focused on the release point, Dick, that you're not going to be looking for that ball.
Through the shift. That's not easy to do. 3 stacked up on the left side, but Kemp able to pump one through. First base hit for the Padres.
I think early in the count, you got to look out over the plate, and that mistake by Matt Kemp is driven through that hole, through the shift. Jimmy Rollins diving to his left. Nice effort, but for Matt Kemp, he continues his hot streak.
25 games in a row he's reached safely. That's the best in the National League currently. Justin Upton, Padres' top home run hitter, 24. And he's hit 5 of those against Dodger pitching. Wood doesn't give up many home runs, only 11 all season in 26 starts. He misses again with a breaking ball, 2-0.
Different shapes to the breaking ball tonight. You're going to see the curveball and also the sweeping slider. You're also going to see that changeup to a lot of these right-handed Padre hitters.
Off the head of the bat by the mound. There's Utley to field and throw him out. And the Padres gone in the first. No score at Petco. This date, 2008, 7 years back, Brandon Morrow making a major league debut with the Mariners. A no-hitter into the 8th inning until Wilson Betterment hit a 2-out single for the Yankees. Morrow on the shelf most of this year after an early April start. Impressive. And then arm problems.
One of the biggest disappointments this year in not having Brandon Morrow. What incredible stuff, but just can't seem to stay healthy enough.
Ethier leads off the Dodgers second. And Josh Johnson, Padres were hopeful that he might come back to that terrific form that he displayed in Miami, and rehab last night. In only a couple of pitches he had to come out of the game. His arm problems continue. 1-1 to Ethier, hitting .293. That's the top Dodger average. 13 home runs. Sharply hit, and by the dive of Norris at first base. Digging it out of the corner is Kemp, and on to second with a double, Andre Ethier. Now that pleases the Dodger fans here tonight. That was a rocket pass first.
Down and in slider, and you could see Andre Ethier just pulling it inside that bag as a diving effort by Derek Norris. Had a down year last year and has had a nice bounce back for Don Mattingly and his staff.
Brings up Carl Crawford, hitting .342 against Padre pitching on the year, better than any hitter in the league, and especially tough on Ross. 8 for 15. Crawford, a 2-run home run. No. Solo home run last night. 105. Bounce foul. First inning, second batter faced by James Shields, and Crawford deposits it deep. 436 feet away. 1-0 on the way to the 8-4 win. There it is. Best batting average in his career of any of those hitters who all have enjoyed hitting against San Diego. No one out here in the second. Fastball, and Ross ahead on the count, 1-2.
Yeah, different changing different eye angles, which I think is important for Tyson Ross. The four-seamer right there, fouling it off. Now getting into a pitcher's count.
Ross is 7th, check the 4th in the National League in strikeouts, 176. Misses away. The woes for the Atlanta Braves continue. They're trailing tonight 7-0. They've lost 10 in a row. That's on the inside corner, strike 3. Ross's first strikeout gets Crawford. He can't move that runner to third. That'll bring up Yasmani Grandal.
Well, he's created that thought about the slider, and then when he goes to the two-seamer, you see the jackknife of Carl Crawford and the perfect pitch by Tyson Ross.
Grandal in the midst of an 0 for 30 slump. All 15 of his homers coming from the left side. Dodgers have a solid defensive catcher, A.J. Ellis, available, but Don Mattingly showing his faith, and Grandal keeps him in the lineup.
Well, they need Yasmani Grandal to perform, and obviously going through a tough stretch, but he is their #1 catcher. A.J. Ellis has been much better the second half, but tends to catch Clayton Kershaw a lot. They have great chemistry. A.J. Ellis behind. Almost an extension to the coaching staff. Very intelligent player.
There's the slider. 2-1. Jock Peterson on deck. The D-backs and the Cubs were at it today. We'll have a game break coming up. Arizona 65-70, as are the Padres starting play today. Three and one. Hitless in the series is Yasmani, but he has walked 3 times. Make that 4, and that goes all the way to the screen, or did it hit him? It hit him. That's a good thing for the Padres, because otherwise we'd have Ethier at third base. He has to return to second as Grandal fills the void at first. So 2 out, 2 on with 1 out, and Jock Peterson the batter.
Well, the slider, and it gets him in that calf area, ankle. Yasmani Grandal, and like you said, Dick, when that hits Grandal, it's a dead ball. So Ethier has to stay on second base.
Jock Peterson walks more than any Dodger and strikes out more. 83 walks. 148 times he struck out. When he makes contact, watch out. 24 home runs. 92 on the fastball. Tyson Ross has not unleashed that 95-96 mile-an-hour fastball as yet.
Yeah, and I like that. Maybe downsizing just a little bit to try to get location, pitch ahead.
Slider inside. Peterson had 20 of his 24 home runs before the All-Star break, so he's really tapered off dramatically, if not drastically. Only 4 home runs since the break. 2 on, 1 out. April, May, June, 20 homers. July 1st through this September 5th, 4 home runs.
A lot of confidence at the beginning of the year. That's the reason why he was named to the All-Star game. As you can see, the league has adjusted to him, and it's been frustrating, to say the least, for Jock Peterson.
Another miss inside, 3-1. Well, last night, James Shields with a season-high 6 walks, and that got him in trouble. Alex Wood, the pitcher, next. Not a bad hitter. So 3-1 to Peterson. Come back, Jock. It's 3-2.
Yeah, I think he was hoping for a ball call right there, but this looked like a great pitch. On our Fox tracks by Honda, you can see Austin Hedges sticking it right on the bottom part of the strike zone. One play, Chris Conroy.
The right call by Conroy. So full count. Ethier at second, Grandal at first. Game 4 of the series tomorrow, 12:30 our TV time here on Fox Sports San Diego. Military Day. Always a very special day of baseball, and a salute to our heroes. U.S. Air National Guard will be honored tomorrow. He walked him, and the bases are loaded. First walk from Ross, who leads the National League in walks. That's his 75th. Our game tonight, presented in HD by Sony.
Well, a visit by Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, and is to get Tyson Ross, give him a couple of reminders, give him a little bit a breather. But for me, with the fastball, especially on his arm side, he's been losing that. See that glove side two-seamer action. He's got Carl Crawford to look at.
Only 10 pitches to get through the first inning. He's already thrown 20 here in the second. Let's see if Don Mattingly has a play in the works with the pitcher up and the bases loaded. Wood is 7 for 42 hitting and has knocked in 4 runs. In his career under 100. Ball 1.
He's still 1 pitch away. And he really needs to work for that ground ball in the middle of the infield to turn 2.
One and one. Ethier at third. Grandal at second. Peterson at first. 1 out. Way outside.
I almost like to see Austin Hedges just set up right down the middle. Let that movement play. I think they're working the edges too much tonight.
There it is. He misses again. 3-1. Wood has just kept the bat on his shoulders and now has Ross in trouble. Got to throw a strike.
Now this is an automatic take for Alex Wood.
And the count runs out 3-2. Leadoff hitter Rollins on deck. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Second strikeout for Tyson Ross. And here's Rollins, the leadoff man. Well, that was a battle.
Well, I like it. Austin Hedges, the young catcher, just set up down the middle and throwing a strike.
Switch hitting Rollins, fly to right field his first time. Two for 10 this year with the bases loaded. Slider for a strike.
You know, so many times, Dick, these pitchers will try so hard to stay out of the middle of the plate, but you watch Tyson Ross and you see the movement that he has, the devastating slider. At times you can throw it right down the middle, and these guys are going to have a tough time with that.
1-1. A little more velocity on that one.
Remember, Don Mattingly was the hitting coach when I was with the Dodgers, and for some guys, he would say, listen, look for the middle of the plate. Anything off the edges, it's going to move off one direction or the other.
2-1. All right, Ross battling himself here in this second inning. The 30th pitch of the inning coming up after an easy 10-pitch first inning. Loaded up with Dodgers. And here comes the action pitch. 2-1. Ground ball. Jerko. He's got it. And the inning is over. A game effort by Tyson Ross. Pitches out of the bases loaded, 1 out. Today, Dexter Fowler hitting right-handed, clubs a home run. And the Cubs go on to beat the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the win goes to Jake Arrieta. Arrieta, following up his no-hitter from last Sunday, goes 8 shutout innings, and he's now won 18 games. 18-6. Elsewhere, St. Louis, Jaime Garcia, and the Cardinals beat the Pirates 4-1, and lefty David Price, now a Blue Jay, a 3-hitter. And Toronto wins. The Yankees lost, so Toronto up 1.5. Back to Arrieta, however. He is, in his last 7 decisions, 7-0 with an ERA of 0.36.
Yeah, dominating stuff. And a lot of people are talking about if they get into that playoff, it looks like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who is going to pitch, and Jake Arrieta over John Lester, who they gave a huge contract to.
He's a delight to watch from that center field camera. Everything he throws moves.
Yeah, has one of the best sliders in the game, and really mechanically have figured him out.
Derek Norris starts for the Padres here in the 2nd inning. 245 is average on the year, leading the club with 28 doubles. Norris, then Will Myers and Austin Hedges. Lifted off first. Gonzalez over to take a look. And that gives us a chance to check on the keys to the game with Mark Sweeney, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, let's lay the wood. The last time the Padres faced him, as you talked about, Dick, earlier, 5 runs on 12 hits. And let's get to the jungle. Craig Kimbrell, doesn't that sound nice with the atmosphere tonight? 36 saves. That's tied for 3rd all of baseball.
Line drive, softly, but up to get the catch is Jock Peterson. Looked like he was fighting to pick that ball up. That was maybe knuckling on its way out there.
Yeah, you see Jock Peterson almost shading his eyes, and maybe that glare behind the home plate area came into play. But nice swing by Derek Norris. That was just hit too hard. Stays up for Jock Peterson.
Yeah, he didn't pick that up cleanly, but makes the catch. 1 away. Here's Will Myers back in the lineup. After missing 70 games, struck out a couple of times last night, 0 for 3. But as he told Ali Stern before the game, feeling good. It's a matter of timing. Mighty excited to be back in the lineup. Most importantly, that wrist, no pain.
Well, he had to have some jitters last night, and only 3 rehab games, and coming back. The excitement that he has to play the game of baseball, but you still have those jitters and those butterflies in you when you play your first game off the disabled list.
He puts on quite a display in batting practice. He is immensely strong. Sails outside, 2-1. Big crowd on this Saturday night. It'll be a sellout. And of course, the premiere of the Will Ferrell documentary, part of the attraction. Gets him to go around on that inside breaking ball. 2-2. High fly ball hit well to right center field. That's carrying to the warning track, but Ethier makes the play. So a line out Norris and a long out off the bat of Myers. No damage done to Alex Wood.
Well, inching closer, and Will Myers getting that timing down, and that's a nice swing just underneath the baseball, just a hair, and enough to fly out deep to that right center part of the ballpark. That had a good sound to it, but just off the barrel of the bat.
And that's the toughest part of the yard to hit a home run. Here's Austin Hedges. And he takes strike 1. His dad Charlie talking with him the other night and talking The fact that Bryce Harper and Austin Hedges were on the same club team. Right center field, falling in a hurry. Here comes Ethier, and he makes the catch. Diving into right center. Didn't think he was going to get there. So the Padres do everything but get a hit here in the second inning. They go down in order, and there's still no score.
Third, and Padre fans, it's time now to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag SDDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day for all kinds of sports activity, including pedaling around our beautiful town. Big crowd out in Park at the Park. It's jammed out there. Of course, they can watch the action on the screen the other side of the hitting backdrop.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's a great spot out there, and thank you for coming out. Great atmosphere tonight in the building and outside the building.
Any of you got a fish taco out there?
If you do, get some hot sauce on there.
That's an inside joke. Chase Utley leads off the third. Singled his first time. A ground single beat the shift. 1-1.
Again, you see that statue out in the park of Tony Gwynn. We miss you, Tony. Mr. Padre. It's one of the best statues in the game, if not the best.
Yeah, Tony himself praised the beautiful work done by the sculptor. Another strike. Now you see a lot of artwork, and I hate to ever criticize art because I have no talent there, and I do admire it. I'd love to buy art. But there are some sculptures you wonder, what in the world were they thinking? That doesn't look anything like the person. How about Stan Musial, that sculpture in St. Louis by Busch Stadium? But that one is right on, A+.
That's a visual we all remember. It was a line drive off his bat. We knew where it was going to be a hit.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Utley. Then it'll be Adrian Gonzalez and Justin Turner here in the Dodger third. Strange world, this carousel baseball go around. Former Padre there in the Dodger uniform. Utley and Rollins, so long a mainstay of the middle of the infield for the Phillies, now the Dodgers double play combo. Driven to right center field. A long run for Myers, and he makes the catch. The kid galloping into right center to haul that one down.
Well, it doesn't matter where you put him, but watch the first step. The direction to the baseball and the glove work. Hand-eye coordination right at the end. Nice catch by Will Myers, picking up Tyson Ross.
Just long enough, his arms, to snare that one up in the webbing of the glove. Adrian Gonzalez, the hitter, popped to third his first time.
And the benefit you have playing center field is you see the ball off the bat, you know that direction. But covering all of that ground, especially here at Petco Park, a lot of space out there. That's the challenge if you're playing center field in the big leagues.
That'll make the crowd 0-2. Well, we mentioned last night Gonzalez hit his 7th home run this year against the Padres. That's only one shy of the most by any player against San Diego. Strawberry and Wynn hitting 8 in 91 and 74. One and two. The 136th game of the season for the Padres, all started by right-handed pitchers. Ground ball sharply, and Norris, like a good catcher, blocks it and makes the out at first. That training behind the plate paid off on that play.
Well, you're afforded time when you play first base over there because you don't have to plant and make a throw. And nice job blocking this baseball, keeping it in front. A nice tag on the bag, and yeah, those challenges of playing first base.
He'll come out there with a chest protector next inning.
Not an easy position to play. You can't throw anyone over there athletically. So many little things you have to think about.
Justin Turner, pretty good pitch. Rolled out to second his first time. Well, the Dodgers, for a team that has built a 7.5 game lead in the division, the fact that on the road they're a -8, they're 29 and 37. You would figure that a team playing that well and leading their division would have at least a 500 record away from home. But not the Dodgers, 29 and 37. Of course, they've made hay at Dodger Stadium, second to the Cardinals, their home record. Oh, that's a beauty. Slider on the outside corner, 2-2. '47 and 21 at home. Fly ball to right. Kemp sizing up the arc of that one. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Tyson Ross. Middle of the third, no score.
Ashley Hoffman, Tyson Ross's girlfriend, who was helping with the auction of the players' favorite thing baskets. It was going on from now to the 6th inning. And Ashley, what is Tyson's basket comprised of?
Tyson's got a couple fun things in here. First of all, we've got a signed, authenticated jersey. We have a Spalding mini hoop, which I'm sure a lot of people have seen his trick shot thing going on Twitter with his college roommate. We've got some hats, some dog toys. We've got a bag of his game day essentials. And then we've got a gift certificate to Float, which is downtown. It's one of Tyson's favorite things to do. And it's a room, basically a pool filled with water and Epsom salt, and he uses it for relaxation purposes and recovery.
Very interesting. And where do all the proceeds for this silent auction go?
All the proceeds are going to the Monarch School. It's a K through 12th grade facility where there are children who are directly affected by homelessness. So basically we're trying to raise $10,000 to put a sunshade over their playground.
And Ashley, I know you've been watching Tyson for a while now, but what is it like when he's starting? Do you get the nerves still?
I used to get really nervous when he was first called up. Now I've kind of learned to pace myself, and he's up to bat right now, but I do still get nervous, and I'm still nervous right now. So
we'll let you enjoy and watch him. Take back to you.
All right, thank you, Allie and Ashley, and what a great cause, the Monarch School. That sounds like a pretty good basket to bid on.
Yeah, that's a nice basket.
So Barmas leads off the third for the Padres, bounces to third. And here's Tyson Ross, a handsome .250 average. As we said in the pregame show, he's got the career or the season cycle. He's hit a single, double, triple, and a home run this year.
Yeah, very comfortable with the bat, and also that right center area where he likes to go.
1-1. It's the best batting average by a Padre pitcher since Jake Peavy hit .265 7 years ago.
Well, Tyson's a really good athlete, and
there it is, right center field, slicing into the corner. Ethier trying to get there and does, just in fair territory. Oh, Ethier covering a lot of ground tonight. Well, it's time now for our top tier player profile, brought to you by Arco, and it features the hitting of Tyson Ross. 12 base hits, with Zach Greinke tied behind Madison Bumgarner.
Yeah, help your cause, and that's what Tyson does. And that right center gap, that's the reason why the outfield was shifted over. And a nice play by Andre Ethier, and a nice swing by Tyson.
2 away. Top of the order, Jan Solarte. He swung and missed and struck out on a similar pitch the first time up. Only one hit so far for the Padres. Matt Kemp single in the first inning. Line drive. There's the second hit. A solid shot to left center. Peterson plays it in. Solarte aboard with 2 outs.
Time now for the tools of the trade, brought to you by Ram Trucks. And for Jed Jerko, he is gaining confidence. On Thursday, he gets the fastball down and in, and this was a beautiful swing. Well, last night, he attacks the curveball on Mike Bolsinger. Both the same result, both home runs, and a lot of confidence from Jed Jerko and an improved approach.
A dozen home runs now on the year, hitting safely the last 7 games. And takes ball 1. Hitting .333 in the 7-game streak. And this year's done well against the Dodgers in 14 games, hitting .321 with a homer. And pounds that one toward third. Turner on the run and the flip across, and the inning comes to an end. 3 innings in the book, no score.
Night, and off Chase Utley's bat goes into the gap and makes a nice running grab to save an extra base hit. And Steve Finley next to the dugout, who played a spectacular center field in his career. Pretty good mechanics by Will Myers and not using that glove till the end of that play. What do you think about that play?
I thought his route was fantastic, and you're absolutely right. You'll see a lot of outfielders that want to run with that glove up in the air, and it really costs them a lot of steps. The quickest way to get to the ball is to keep running in stride with those arms pumping and put that glove up at the last second, just like Will Myers did.
Andre Ethier leads off the Dodger fourth. He's made a couple of nice plays out in right field tonight. Doubled his first time up. One of 2 hits against Ross. And a swarm of bees somewhere within the crowd. You saw that shot. Hit that queen bee to land someplace and bring the colony in.
I don't mess with bees.
A lot of folks are high allergies to the bees. Can be very serious a sting. Drive to right center. Kemp can't get there. Ethier on his way for his second double. Led off the second with a double, leads off with another here in the fourth. Brings up Carl Crawford.
Well, short, compact swing by Andre Ethier, getting his foot down early. First one was down the right field line. This is elevated. Hits it into the right center gap for his second double of the night.
Well, Tyson was able to pitch out of it in the second inning. Bases loaded, 1 out after Ethier led off with the double. The dangerous Crawford up. Ball 1. No score. We're in the fourth. 8 for 16 against Ross. Struck out, took a third strike. His at bat against him tonight. Another fastball.
Yeah, we really haven't seen the velocity on that fastball tonight from Tyson Ross. Only 104 pitches last time out against Texas in 7 innings. 61 on the night tonight. See the ball strike ratio, not very good for Tyson.
Lined into the right field corner. And that's another double. A ground rule double. Ethier scores. Crawford has done it again. 1-0 Dodgers. Back to back 2 base hits. Ethier and Crawford. Padres just have not figured how to get Crawford out.
Well, part of the plan is try to elevate for Tyson Ross, even with that slider. When it's elevated, doesn't have that late tilt in the hitting zone. Carl Crawford capitalized. This luckily goes off the warning track into the seats for the ground rule double.
So the Dodgers strike first here in the fourth. No one out to Yasmani Grandal, hit by a pitch, his only at bat. Tried to go to left field with that swing.
Well, Austin Hedges out to talk to Tyson Ross. In comes Clint Barmas, the shortstop. Just changing signs when you have a veteran base runner on second base. At times they try to relay the location, if not the signs. And just trying to change it up a little bit. These Dodgers are taking some healthy hacks.
To the right side, Jerko will get the out at first as Crawford moves to third. 1 away to Jock Peterson. So here you look at the Dodger catcher. Grandal now is 0 for 31, making an out here. A.J. Ellis since August 19th, only 21 at bats, but 7 hits and a home run.
Well, A.J. Ellis struggled in the first half, and Yasmani Grandal, the All-Star, did not. But typically you'll see A.J. Ellis catch Clayton Kershaw. They have to figure that out heading into the playoffs, if they do indeed make the playoffs.
Ross with a couple of strikeouts. This would be a good time for the third. A man who does strike out a lot. Infield in. Pitcher due next. Third base coach you saw whispering in the ear of the runner, Crawford, Ron Renicky, who has joined the Dodgers here at midseason after being excused as manager of the Milwaukee Brewers.
You know, with Crawford at third base, you got to imagine that he's going on contact here with the pitcher up next.
And this may be a pitcher round, 3-0.
Good point, Steve, because when you're going on contact, you're looking for that ball down, and you're looking for the swing by Jock Peterson. Infield in, that makes it difficult, so you're looking for that ball down on the ground if you're the base runner.
Might be swinging. Yeah, not good enough to swing at. A 4-pitch walk. Second given up by Tyson Ross. First and third, and our closed captioning for tonight's game brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. Wood worked the count with the bases loaded to 3-1, and then eventually Ross struck him out.
I wonder if Wood is in this position to sacrifice bunt, try to stay out of the double play. The Dodgers have hit into 112 double plays this year.
Yeah, at least get the runner at first base over to second. And give Jimmy Rollins a chance to add to the 1-0 lead. And a good bunt could serve as a safety squeeze. There goes the runner. No, a fake, and a bluff throw by Hedges as well.
Well, Dick, the one thing you got to worry about, Davey Lopes, the former Padre coach, and he is an excellent first base coach. And the reason why, he looks for keys that Tyson Ross is going to have. And this is a running situation, too, for Jock Peterson. If he picks something out, he will relay that to him.
Taken, 1-1.
See Alex Wood in that sacrifice position to try to get Jock Peterson to second base.
And a foul ball. Hedges pouncing on that soon as it crossed the foul line. So 1-2.
I still think that bunt's going to be on for the Dodgers. See Alex Wood looking down to Ron Renicky. Not easy to square up Tyson Ross if you're swinging the bat, let alone trying to bunt the baseball. A lot of movement on Tyson Ross's ball.
And if you look at the angle that Wood had his bat there, it looked like he was trying to bunt down the third base line. So this could be a safety type squeeze.
Early give up here. And sometimes when a pitcher shows bunt that early, it means that he's not going to bunt. He's going to pull the bat back and try to chop one through the infield. Now he's bunting, and foul, strike 3. Third strikeout for Tyson Ross. So 2 away, and Jimmy Rollins the batter. He's flying out and grounded out. Get out of this inning with only a run scoring would be a victory of sorts for Ross after the back-to-back doubles Ethier and Crawford to open things up. Rollins with a couple of hits last night. Take strike one. The man on the mound and the man with the bat have something in common. Both born in Oakland, California. Rollins 36 years ago. Ross 28 years of age. Did not go. Silver Slugger winner. Back in 2007, he's won 4 Gold Gloves, Rollins, in his distinguished career. 13 times an All-Star. Make that, I'm sorry, 3 times. 3 times. And the NL MVP in 2007. Nice stop by Hedges. 3-1. With Utley on deck.
Watch Austin Hedges. He's set up on the outside part of the plate and works with this slider. And nice glove work, as you talked about, Dick. Could have saved a run right there.
Hedges took the brunt of that foul tip. It's 3-2. In between hop for Jerko, no problem. Out of it well enough. Only 1 run scores and the Dodgers lead.
Chance of making the club. He likes veteran leadership. He said, I don't know where to go. No one's giving me any instructions.
Oh my, Will Ferrell can't do anything about that one. 1-0 Los Angeles.
Now that was a quote-unquote moment in Padres history, brought to you by Geico. Will Ferrell playing right field for the Padres in spring training, as he would go to 5 different games and then put on the uniforms of both teams. So he actually served 10 positions, including coaching for the Cubs. And he's going to be here tonight
to introduce his documentary, his HBO documentary, which is going to play a week from tonight. But the folks here are going to get a sneak preview on the big screen. 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Matt Kemp, one of the 2 hits off Alex Wood, beat the shift, a single through that left side. They're stacked up over there.
We saw Will Ferrell trying to rob that home run. He didn't watch our instructional by Steve Finley.
No, he didn't.
Robbing home runs. Nice job, Steve, today.
Thank you. Yeah, he jumped a little bit too close to the wall that time. Need to work on his ups a little bit too. Then,
don't we all? Except you. You don't need to.
Taken all the way. 3-1. Into the shift this time. And Utley playing on the left side throws him out.
Well, it's time for a game break, and we're going to go down to Miami in the New York Mets. Bartolo Colon on the mound. Watch this play. Going to his left and around the back.
Oh, my.
Justin Bour going down the line, and high fives everywhere. And a little Magic Johnson by Bartolo Colon. He threw a complete game tonight with a 7-0 win for the New York Mets.
I mean, is he remarkable or what? With that body and that age and still playing like a kid and winning.
I played with him for 1 year with the Angels, and the guy is an incredible athlete, which is why he's doing what he's doing right now.
It's phenomenal. Justin Upton grounded to second his first time. Last 3 games with 5 hits. 3 of the doubles.
Well, the Padres have to answer back.
Now you get a side view of this herky-jerky motion of Alex Wood, Steve Finley. What do you think?
You know what? It's going to take these guys, and you see it's taken them a little bit of an adjustment here to get the timing right on it, because it is herky-jerky, and from a left-handed vantage point, the way he throws the ball, I'm sure the right-handers have a hard time picking it up.
His control has been excellent. No walks. A couple of strikeouts.
Yeah, there's the herky-jerky motion, and a lot of arms, elbows, body parts moving at you and trying to pick up that release point.
Misses there. 3-1.
He gave up 12 hits against these Padres last year. It's very much better tonight.
Only 24. Shocking. Atlanta gave him away. I mean, not gave him away, traded him away, but. And a walk. There's the first one for the Padres with 1 out. Upton the tying run on the board. Brings up Derek Norris.
There's the last time that he faced the Padres down in Atlanta, giving up 12 hits. You got to like this approach from the San Diego Padres the last couple of nights. They've grinded out at bats. The at bats are getting better progressively throughout the game. For Mark Kotze, the hitting coach, and Alonzo Powell, the assistant, they have to be very happy and pleased the way they construct at bats as the game goes along.
One hopper to Turner, over to second for one. No, he dropped the ball back to first. Is he safe at second? Was that on the transfer? Or was it a clean drop by Utley? He was on the transfer. He's out.
Boy, that looked like a clean drop from my angle over here. Never looked like he had control of it.
Well, the bench coach, Dave Roberts, immediately on the phone. Now let's take a look at this play. Justin Turner gets rid of it quickly, and that looks like a drop to me.
No question. That had nothing to do with K. He never had control of the ball. No, you've got to challenge that. Now, did he pick it up in time to get the out? That's the question here. He may have, on second effort, gotten Upton after all. That's the drop, but he stays with it.
Yeah, I don't know if that left foot is even on the base.
That's a tricky one again.
And you have to decide, if you're Pat Murphy, what you would like to challenge. Watch Chase Utley and take a look. This is an absolute drop by him.
There.
Then watch that left foot. Is it on the base? before Justin Upton slides in. They're going to take a look at it.
I think he's on the base with the instep right there. He's out. Oh, that's you got to give Utley full credit there. The veteran stayed with it, knew he had bobbled the ball, but still gets the force.
And a good hard slide by Justin Upton, trying to break up that double play. For all you out there, that's one of those things as a base runner you have in your mental mind of, I have to break this up. It's a double play. Justin Upton going in hard, assuming Chase Utley is going to turn that in the middle of the diamond.
I tell you what, from the angle I just saw right there, when he reached to grab that ball, his foot turned, it pivoted.
See the hard slide into second base, and that's what I like to see. Justin Upton.
The call on the field is out. They have to find irrefutable evidence to overturn. I'm not sure there isn't. He didn't panic. He's been there hundreds, if not thousands of times in his career. So he hung with the play, and right now the Padres have 2 outs and a runner at first. Another look. Look at the left instep. Now he has control right there.
And I don't know if he has his foot on the base. It's hard to tell from this angle. Let's take a look at this side, see if we see a better angle with his left foot. I just don't see it enough where it is applied to second base.
Upton made it tough on him, didn't he? So we have to go in to break up the double play. I'm saying he's going to be out. And he is. Just not enough to overturn. So Norris safe at first. Upton out 5-4 on the fielder's choice. And here's Will Myers. Myers gave it a good ride the last time to deep right field for an out. Nearly 1,100 reviews this year. And 543, almost half of them overturned. That's interesting, huh?
It's a high percentage.
It is.
I think it's great for baseball to get the call right. Just wish there was a way to speed up the process.
I agree with you totally, Steve. Apparently it's here to stay. Let's just modify it, make it better. I know they didn't want to overwhelm the game by having everything reviewable, but the more you see it, the more you really, why do you have 3 or 4 plays that you don't review? You might as well review any tough play.
Well, I agree with you, but they did say from the onset that they were going to have to make adjustments with this rule, and all of the rules are going to be reviewed during the season and also at the end of the season, what they have to do. And yes, it has to be modified.
I mean, any controversial play, I want it reviewed. I want it to be right. Tough job, though, for these guys.
Well, they're getting scrutinized, too, and it can't feel very good. And you think about it, how many times. And whatever you think about umpiring and the strike zone and so many things that are reviewed, they have to go out there and instantly make these calls. And it is a very difficult job.
Let's see if Myers is the green light on 3-0. No, ball 4, a 4-pitch walk. Did you ever umpire, Mark Sweeney?
I didn't. Well, a Little League game, but that doesn't do anything, right?
I umpired. I was actually the umpire-in-chief at the Bloomington, Indiana. The Bloomington, Indiana Little League program. And boy, was that a lesson. Then I came out here and was teaching, making $4,200 a year with a doctorate in coaching baseball and teaching health science at Cal State Northridge, San Fernando Valley State. So to get another $5 to umpire a game, I had to go for it.
Were you the crew chief?
Well, I'll tell you what, about the third game when the manager and the kids followed me to my car barking at me, I said, you know, the $5, you could have your $5. I'm retiring.
I think you made the right choice.
So 2 on a couple of walks from Wood here in the 4th. Let's see if the Padres can take advantage. Hedges.
Speaking of those arguments, Dick, I think one of the consequences of having all these replays is you're not seeing as many arguments. Usually it's only balls and strikes at home plates with the hitters and the umpires.
Yeah, I agree with that, too.
I'm not sure that I like the fact there's less arguments. I kind of liked it when umpires had to face a mad manager spitting and barking and kicking dirt.
It makes for a little excitement, that's for sure.
Lou Piniella, Bobby Cox. So many of these managers that would try to energize their club by getting tossed and having your back.
Lloyd McClendon still gets his fuse lit up there in Seattle.
I love when Lou Piniella was kicking the hat, kicking the dirt.
Earl Weaver, Billy Martin. Take the base and throw it over the outfield fence. Come on.
I'd be worried the base wouldn't come out if I tried to do that.
You throw your back out and really look foolish, huh? All right, Padres trailing 1-0, 2 on, 2 out. Wood losing his control, and he's 3-0. That's 7 straight out of the strike zone. Clint Barmas on deck. I'd like to see Hedges get the green light here. 3-0. Nope, taken all away for a strike.
Well, again, one pitch, one location, even with a 3-1 count. You want to be aggressive, but not overswing. Austin Hedges has cut his swing down, but he's been having an aggressive approach, which I've liked.
And a full count. So with 2 outs, that'll give the runners, Norris and Myers, a jump start. A tweener would score 2. No defense for the base on balls, huh, Don? Right center field, Peterson able to go back and collect it for the out. Padres leave 2. Still 1-0 Dodgers. Pitching duel so far, Tyson Ross and Alex Wood. Ross with 3 strikeouts in the game. Gets Crawford there. Good play by Ethier in right field to take away a hit from Austin Hedges. A couple of doubles by the Dodgers. First it was Ethier and then Crawford with his RBI ground rule double, and that's how the Dodgers have a 1-0 lead. 1 run, 4 hits for LA. No runs, a couple of hits for the Padres. Night about to fall here on this September 5th Saturday night. Labor Day weekend. Chase Utley starts it for the Dodgers in the 5th. A single and a good play made by center fielder Myers to chase down his bid for extra bases. Another line drive coming up to get it is Myers. One away. They'll bring up Adrian Gonzalez. And with a comfortable seat in the owner's box is Will Ferrell. Got himself a Padre fedora. Looks like he's got the family with him tonight.
Yeah, I wonder if his kids think he's really funny. Or they just don't.
He's dad. You know, he's just dad. It's like my kids. You know, I would say something I think was really funny, you know? And my teenage kids would say, Dad, you're such a dork.
Yeah, they give you the blank stare. I've had that blank stare before. Yeah. Now him, I smile and laugh right when I see him.
You know, he's a very unusual physical specimen for a comedian. You know, most of them are small, short. But here's a big, tall guy that make you laugh too. That's a fair ball right over the bag at first, although Gonzalez, well, he watched it, didn't even get out of the batter's box. And Derek Norris takes care of the second out. That's no fun. Get the ball right to the first base bag. So Gonzalez 0 for 3 tonight. Justin Turner is grounded out and flied out. Ross looking for an easy inning here in the 5th. He's up to 82 pitches. Does your wife laugh at your jokes?
You know, once in a while, if I catch her at a good time.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like every time I'll hear a joke and tell a joke and get everyone to laugh. Then I'll go home and try it on her, and then she gives me that blank stare, like she's heard it 3 times before.
Here's that blank stare again.
The blank stare's okay. It's when her lips disappear. I know I'm in trouble. That means she's really unhappy. Yeah.
Game break. San Francisco Giants, Colorado Rockies.
Boy, the Giants need a win. One hopper to short. Varmus across, and it is an easy 1-2-3 inning. We're at the halfway mark in this one. It's 1-0 LA. Pagan of the Giants. Is it fair? It is just fair. A home run. And they've now moved to the bottom of the 6th inning with the Giants in front 5-1. But as we know, never enough runs there. Our National University standings, the Dodgers at the moment leading by 7.5 over the Giants. Padres 4 behind San Francisco. Arizona is lost, and Colorado deep in the cellar. Alex Wood goes to the 5th inning with a 1-0 lead. Barmes, Ross, and then Solarte. Padres have only 2 singles against Wood at this point. Kemp and Solarte with the base hits. We're going to see another southpaw tomorrow, Brett Anderson, who is 8-8. In many ways, these are playoff auditions for the Dodger pitchers. They're looking for that third man in the rotation as they head toward the playoffs.
Well, 7-game series, you might even have to use 4 guys.
Good comeback stab by Wood that took a hit out of center field. 1 away. Tyson Ross lined to the right fielder Ethio the first time.
Well, when you release the pitch, you become an infielder. And Alex Wood, that ball was hit right into his glove.
Headed for center field. So Ross going to try to help himself here with 1 out in the 5th. Yeah, they even got the poster out there. Farrell looking like a player, huh? Got the good form. Wears the uniform well.
It was pretty cool that he played right field in honor of Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn.
I wonder if he'll leave the game and do the late evening news here in San Diego tonight.
Now, Brown Cow. Now, Brown Cow.
They have teleprompters here that we can fix up some good stuff for them. 2 strikes to Ross. Ooh, did that hit him? Yes, it did. Got him down in the foot. Take one for the team. Tying run on. 1 out. Brings up the leadoff man, Solarte.
Well, command for Alex Wood has strayed, and you talked about the deception with his delivery. Ball's been all over the place, especially to his glove side, as he hits Tyson Ross on the ankle. He's pitching coach Rick Honeycutt, along with manager Don Mattingly.
Solarte singled his last time and takes a strike. First 30 games of the year, 170. Anemic. Now the last 27. Those are terrific numbers. 318 with 3 home runs.
Really has earned every bit of playing time. And has been a spark plug for this Padre offense. He's also played a nice third base.
Struck out the first time, singled on a line to left center the last time. Ground ball toward the hole. They get the force. Rollins to Utley. And that takes Tyson Ross off the bases. Not a bad thing. So he can go get a seat in the dugout. And Solarte replaces him at first.
Well, down next to the dugout, and Steve Finley with a guy that's losing his command. How would you attack Alex Wood in this situation?
Well, I mean, you saw right there, Solarte took the first pitch and looked, the pitch was right down the middle. He was probably thinking the same thing. His command's all over the place. Let me see a strike. You know, I think you still have to stay aggressive in the zone. With a guy like this, you want to elevate the ball a little bit, look for something up in the zone, and try to drive it to the center of the field.
Jerko with a home run in each of the first 2 games of the series. He's never hit home runs in 3 consecutive games.
You can see the third time around. Better numbers.
Routine to short, and that's it for the Padres in the 5th. On to the 6th inning here in San Diego. The Dodgers lead 1-0.
strike zone now with his fastball. Everybody in baseball knows he has a fantastic slider, and he can throw it for strikes. But once he got control of both his fastballs, his 2-seam and 4-seam, it put him at ease a little bit, and he's able to do whatever he wants on the mound now.
Comments on Tyson Ross, who continues to pitch well, but this is a pattern that's not favorable for Tyson against the Dodgers. He's not beaten them in his career, and yet his ERA is 2.81, and here again, only 1 run allowed, but no support.
Well, great numbers at home, as you see in the last 2 starts. He's been dominating at times. You know, mechanically, you see him throw too many pitches early in the ball game, but the stuff. That's why I say for Austin Hedges, when he's straying, to sit down the middle of the plate, because it moves. Every pitch moves, and very difficult to square up.
Yeah, the one Dodger that has him figured out tonight is the leadoff man here in the 6th, Andre Ethier, who has doubled both times up, both times as the leadoff hitter in the 2nd and again in the 4th. And in the 4th, he came around to score the run. Goes around there, strike 1.
And both times on a slider. See if he attacks him a little different right here.
At the start of the season, this man Ethier was considered trade bait. Wanted to play every day and was platoon, not getting enough action in his mind. Had some injuries, but he's had a good season. 13 homers. That's going to be a tough play for Upton. Can he get there? No. That ball bloops into the left field corner, and another hit for Ethier. Well, a wedge shot just inside the foul line, and he's on again as a leadoff base hit.
Well, confidence plays in this game, and the slider elevated. He doesn't even know where this ball is when he makes contact. He looks up to try to find it, and it dumps into left field. When you're going well, these things happen, and a nice play by Justin Upton, keeping him to only a single, keeping the double play in order.
Yeah, he was flirting with 3 straight doubles. Crawford doubled him in the last time for the LA run. Took a 3rd strike the first time. Nine for 17 against Tyson Ross. Back to the middle. Could be 2. Jerko to Barmes. Back to first. Not in time. The exchange around the bag at second wasn't as smooth as normal. And Crawford, who runs well out of that left side batter's box, able to beat the relay.
Well, Dick, in your middle infield, you're battling a couple things. The mound, and you get a ricochet, but this takes Jed Jerko deeper into the center field area. But a nice turn by Clint Barmes, getting that sure out at second, and just missing Carl Crawford on the turn.
Well, that was a tough chance for a double play.
Yeah, it skipped off the mound and took Jed Jerko just another step to center field.
Ethier out. Crawford replaces him. Crawford a better base stealer. And the Dodgers, not only a team that hits a lot of home runs, they've been stealing bases since August 29th, leading the majors with 13 steals. September, a month of pilfering.
Well, Dick, like I said, having Davey Lopes over there, the veteran first base coach, he will push the envelope for these guys. First of all, he'll find out how they're feeling. Are you tight? Your hamstrings tight? But if you're okay and you're 100%, he's going to encourage them to go if he picks something out.
Grandal hit by a pitch and grounded to second. 0 for 31 now for the switch hitting catcher.
Swings, I remember many times with Davey over there telling me, why are you still here?
Yeah.
Why are you still here after every pitch? Go. This is what he's doing. Go.
You know, to that point too, Steve, and he'd come over to me. I wasn't a base stealer, and he'd say, listen, 1001, 1002, and take off. And he said, if you're out, I will take the blame. That's just forcing the issue and knowing the scoreboard, the situation. It didn't matter if you were a base stealer or not. If he picked something out, you had to have trust in him.
There he goes, and it's going to work. Or is that a foul tip? It is a foul tip. And he'll have to come back. Check swing by Grandal. The other element here in making that decision is sometimes with a left-handed hitter up, you want to keep that right side open with a first baseman anchored at the bag, give that hitter a chance to knock one through there.
Well, with a struggling hitter, too, if you're on the move, you create different lanes. And for Grandal, that might be a benefit.
Pretty good pitch. 1-2-1. That pitch count for Tyson Ross continues to climb. He's at 93.
Well, there's Dave Roberts. He controls the running game. The bench coach for the San Diego Padres, putting on the signs to Austin Hedges. Pick over, hold, all kinds of options to control the running game.
Pitch out. Ross's throw blindly is there. Wow. Grandal trying to bunt into that shift. And Ross, if it gets by Ross, that's a base hit. Oh, that's a very tough play. Look, he's going away from first base.
Yeah, athletic play by Tyson Ross, and also on the back end with Derek Norris. Grandal just trying to get on first base with a base hit, and nice footwork by Derek Norris.
It's not a sacrifice. He was judged as bunting for a base hit. Crawford goes to second. And with 2 outs, Peterson, the batter, will they pitch to him?
Now, I really like this mound visit by Darren Balsley, and I'll tell you why. Making that difficult play, athletic play, your heart's got to be beaten. And to slow everything down, know the situation, Jock Peterson up. Alex Wood's on the on-deck circle, but that's a possibility of Don Mattingly using a bench player. Expanded rosters, you never know what a manager's going to do at any part of the game.
Going back to that play by Ross, I mean, the odds of that ball winding up in the right field corner are fairly high. I mean, that was a blind, off-balance throw, but he got it there. And you've got a smaller, less experienced first baseman in Norris. Peterson has walked both times up tonight. He goes around. Now this is, you got to be talented to make this play. It's almost like a quarterback with the pressure coming in on him, falling back and completing a pass while going down on his backside.
Yeah, and don't minimize what Derek Norris did at first base either. That is not easy to switch feet and stretch to make that play on the backside.
Kevin Quackenbush in the pens. Swing and a miss at the slider, 0-2. Well, they may have gone out to talk to Russ. Okay, you can pitch around him and take your chances with Wood or a pinch hitter. Or do you think you can get him out? Maybe Ross said, hey, let me see what I can do. I'll try to take care of Peterson, and that would mean the pitcher would have to lead off the next inning.
Yeah, maybe a 2-strike approach from the get-go. Mark McGwire, A.J. Ellis discussing situations of the game.
What do you throw here? 2 strikes.
Well, he's exposed him with the slider. Why not go it again?
Get it low. And it was, and a good block by Hedges.
Yeah, perfect form by Austin Hedges, the rookie backstop. Watch this. He's blocking her right in front, softly. And then immediately his eyes go on to the base runner, Kyle Crawford, at second base. Been very impressed with the young man.
Shift on. Only Solarte on the left side. He has to protect at third base. And another ball in the dirt. There he goes. And no play. That's just Crawford reading that well. As soon as that ball bounced away, even though it was a short bounce, he was on his way to third. The wild pitch.
Well, it's a hard slider. That's what makes it very difficult. He makes that step to right, and that's what Carl Crawford reads. He steps to the right, the ball to the left. Carl Crawford advances to third base.
So now it's 2-2. Does that change the thought process and how they pitch to Peterson?
I don't think so.
Chop to first. Norris takes care of business, and that's it for the Dodgers in the sixth. It's still a one-run game. Justin Upton will follow Matt Kemp as the Padres come up in the last half of the sixth inning. Saquon Casino. Play, win together in the heart of San Diego. By Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. And by Mercury Insurance. Log on to mercuryinsurance.com and see how much you could save. The Dodgers on back-to-back doubles in the fourth inning. Ethier and Crawford with a 1-0 lead. Home half of the sixth. Padres with the big bats coming up. Kemp, Upton, and then Norris.
They gotta love how Tyson Ross attacked Jock Peterson.
Another solid quality outing by Tyson Ross. Kemp a single and a ground out to the left side, and they're stacked up again. When you talk about really shoulder to shoulder defense, the distance between Gonzalez at first base and Utley, who's playing almost right at the shortstop position. Look at, they got him all over toward the line.
Yeah, it's interesting. Right here is that's the power position for Matt Kemp. He tried to shoot that last pitch there.
Outside, 2-1.
If they're pitching you away, you got to hit it away, and that's the reason why they do it. See if they sweep that slider in on Matt Kemp's hands.
That's as drastic a shift as we've seen for any hitter. And he misses, 3-1. That old cry that goes all the way to Little League, a walk is as good as a hit leading off.
Yeah, you know it.
Line drive, base hit. Well, that's how you beat the shift. You whistle a line drive over their heads. Second hit for Kemp. That'll bring up Justin Upton.
Well, set up for the fastball going away, and this is a little cutter. Matt Kemp beating the shift by drilling this line drive over Jimmy Rollins' head.
Only the third hit allowed by Alex Wood, 2 of them by Kemp. Upton has grounded out and walked. .283 average against the Dodgers this year with 5 home runs. Way outside.
We saw the third time around numbers for Alex Wood, and Justin Upton capitalizes on that usually. That right center gap is open. See if he takes a shot out there.
89-mile-an-hour fastball, just missed it.
Exactly what it looked like. He wanted to let that ball travel just a little bit more, and he ends up getting underneath that just a tad. Good approach by Justin. You see Jock Peterson in center field, shifted on that left of second base.
1-0 Dodgers. We're in the Padres 6th inning. A tight battle between the 24-year-old lefty Alex Wood and the Padres' Tyson Ross. Kemp bluffing. 1-2. Kemp carrying the tying run in this tight 1-0 game.
Grandal's asking for it up.
2-2.
Yeah, a lot of umpires in the stands. Grandal tried to pull that back into the strike zone.
Late umpire Chris Conroy's had a good game.
He's done a nice job with the strike zone tonight. Very consistent.
University of Georgia Bulldog was Alex Wood after he left Charlotte, North Carolina high school and drafted in the 2nd round by Atlanta. So he was a prized recruit.
Fastball up.
Ooh, big swing by Upton.
That's a dangerous pitch. Here's this location. You want it up, and it's the top of the strike zone. He got away with one right there.
The veteran Gonzalez walking the ball back to Wood. Every seat a good seat here at Petco. Looking in from right field, it's 2-2 to Upton. Outside. Good discipline there, laying off that fading fastball.
Don't think this is a running situation right here. Not going to get a good jump off a lefty probably, and he's going pretty quick to the plate.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to go with that 3-2 changeup.
Look at that quick tag by Gonzalez.
And he's asking manager Don Mattingly to take a look at that. The throw takes him up towards right field. He applies the tag. Ted Barrett, the crew chief.
Boy, that was close, wasn't it? And Wood thought they got him. Mattingly waiting for word from his.
This is too long. I'm sorry. This is too long.
No, there should be a time limit. If you're going to challenge, what would be fair? 15 seconds? This is way beyond that. Now they're going to challenge. So why not wait a full minute?
Yeah, and you're asking the fan to be interested in a game that is slow a lot of times. Let's take a look at that pickoff move.
He may be out. Coming back, just hopping back to the bag, and Gonzalez with that quick tag. He may have stolen an out.
So much easier for a left-handed first baseman to let the ball travel and apply the tag.
If this is overturned, that's going to be a painful pickoff. Goodness.
I got to be honest, that looks like he's out to me.
I think so too.
Really depends on where his heel hit. If it got the bag fast enough, but his toe definitely wasn't down.
But the whole process, how it takes so long. Adrian Gonzalez putting the tag down and telling his manager to go take a look at it, and then they have a conversation at the mound just to stall. It's got to change.
No, they're managing the game off television. But they don't want to lose their challenge, so they're asking the system to give them so much time to be absolutely right on their decision to challenge.
Yeah, it was actually a bad pickoff throw, and it went up the line, allowing Gonzalez to apply the tag on that right hip.
You're right. It's all whether or not the heel got there. Yeah, he's out. Boy, that's a morale busting out. As Kemp decides just to hop to the bag, and Wood and Gonzalez pull it off. There goes the leadoff man as he's picked off. Now the count is 3-2. Minute and 46 seconds for the review. And strike three. Oh, that's back to back. Plays that are painful. First you get your leadoff man picked off on an unusual pickoff, and then he takes strike three.
Well, here's the pitch by pitch. The ball away, and then the good swing by Justin Upton. He continued to try to go to right field, right center as those balls came in. Then they tried to elevate on Justin Upton. And the last pitch, the fastball on the outside part of the plate. What a bad sequence for the San Diego Padres.
So 2 away. And a pop fly on the infield, and Gonzalez settles under it, and nothing for the Padres in the 6th. The Dodgers still claim a 1-0 lead. So the Padres trail 1-0 after 6 innings, and it's time now for the San Diego fans of the game. She's really all decorated. Lots of youngsters out here tonight. That's great.
Yeah, thanks for coming out to the ballpark.
Well, here's the bad news for the Padres. They're going to fight an uphill pattern now. The Dodgers, when they're ahead after 6 innings, now that's with 3 innings to go now. After 6, the Dodgers, when they lead, they're 59-10. Our El Cajon pitching change, El Cajon Ford, Kevin Quackenbush here in the 7th.
Well, Kevin got the win in the first game of this series with 2 innings of work, and that was outstanding work by Kevin Quackenbush. Had to feel good about his outing last time.
Alex Wood, the pitcher, leads off. Then it's Rollins and Utley. So Tyson goes 6 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And a swing and a miss, strike 3, the breaking ball. Quackenbush takes care of the opposing pitcher, and now Jimmy Rollins, the leadoff man. He's grounded twice to second and flied to right. Well, Tyson Ross deserved a better fate. 99 pitch evening.
Really grinded it out tonight for Tyson.
He did.
There were times that he didn't feel good mechanically and could still battle out of some of those tough jams. Leadoff doubles by Ethier.
Now, he's established himself as a top of the rotation pitcher, hasn't he?
I agree, and his stuff continues to get better. To me, if he is on, you'd be surprised if he doesn't go 8 or 9 innings. And his confidence is rising. Now he has to expect it every time he goes out. Talking to James Shields, to him, and going over what went on.
Sometimes you have to win when you don't have your best stuff.
Exactly right. Those are the good ones.
And he pitched a good game, and all you had to do is look at his slider. He just didn't have that diving break on his slider tonight, and still only 1 run, 5 hits. Tough last of the 6th inning for the Padres. They're 2 big guns. One gets picked off and the other takes strike 3. Solarte shifts over to the right side of the infield. Varmus back at shortstop with 2-2 now on Rollins. And he gets him inside with a strikeout. So Quackenbush comes in. Fans Wood and Rollins for the first 2 outs, and that'll bring up Chase Utley. Earlier tonight, out in center field, Will Myers takes a base hit, extra base hit away from Utley as he runs that one down in the gap. 24-year-old Myers, he can run.
Just good to see him in the uniform, healthy and back in the lineup.
Well, Saturday night, baseball night in San Diego, another sellout crowd, 43,536 here tonight. And again, the shift was Solarte going over to the second base side, and Varmus staying at shortstop. Utley singled up the middle, beat the shift, and is lined out to center fielder Myers the other 2 times. The play you just saw, Myers taking extra bases away. He, like Rollins, in the twilight of terrific careers, both are 36. And he beats the shift again. In fact, better than that. Upton up with it. Not cleanly. The throw to second. Not in time. Another Dodger double with 2 outs. Utley goes to left center field. Makes you wonder, the way he's hit the ball tonight, why you try to shift on him.
Well, curveball, and he sits on it, tracks this ball nicely, and this is a good piece of hitting. If I think Justin Upton comes up with this cleanly, he has a good chance of throwing him out at second base. He hesitates just a little bit and advances As Justin Upton does not field that cleanly, but nice effort in left field.
Well, here's Adrian Gonzalez. Grounded twice to first unassisted. And they're going to put him on. That's the right play, and take your chances on the right-handed hitting Justin Turner. Gonzalez with a home run last night and a walk, 1 for 4. Wore the collar on the opening night, 0 for 5. So he is 1 for 12 in the series, but it was a big one, a home run.
Well, this is a no-brainer to me. You got right on right, sitting in the on-deck circle, and Justin Turner, and you have the numbers that Adrian Gonzalez has produced against the Padres in big situations.
So there's the 4th wide one. Turner grounded out twice and flied out, facing Tyson Ross. So 1-0 game. So this is a big moment for both the Dodgers and the Padres. San Diego trying to escape this first and second with 2 outs. Keep it close and hope they can rally, which they've done remarkably well all season long. 7th inning on, they've been as good as any team in the National League in scoring runs. It wasn't that close.
You know, I like this pitch. Make it uncomfortable. You got a leg kick by Justin Turner, and that fastball up and in. Just put a thought in their minds early in this at bat. See if he goes down and away here.
Back with a fastball high, 2-0. Dodgers are 1 for 8 tonight with runners in scoring position, 1 for 15 the last couple of games. On the inside corner, another fastball.
The way he's taken all of those pitches, you wonder if he's sitting on that breaking ball by Quackenbush.
Another fastball, 2-2. Quackenbush pitched 2 innings in the Friday night win. Didn't allow a base hit.
Our Fox Tracks had that number 4 pitch just barely off the plate. Justin Turner staring Chris Conroy down.
And one of the 43,536 will go home with a souvenir. Padre fan. One of the many major leaguers produced an excellent baseball program at Cal State Fullerton. Justin Turner went to Mayfair High School in Lakewood. Just got a piece of that one. And Quackenbush staying with the fastball. Swing and a miss. Another fastball. Got him to climb the ladder. And that's it for the Dodgers in the 7th. Sellout crowd stretch half of the 7th. Take me out to the ball game. 1-0 LA. brought to you by Petco. What we feed them matters. And by your San Diego Lexus dealer. Stretch half of the seventh. Boy, they were in good voice here tonight singing the baseball national anthem. Take me out to the ball game. And, of course, the fans can't wait for that one line where it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. And throwing out the Padres instead of yelling the Dodger fans.
How about the effort of Kevin Quackenbush striking out the side?
And you got Wood, Rollins, and then Turner with 2 on. Myers leads off the Padres 7th. Wood's still in there. He's given up only 3 hits, all singles. Kemp in the first, Solarte in the third, Kemp in the 6th.
Back-to-back great outings by Kevin Quackenbush, getting the win in the first game of this series.
Alex Wood trying to make a statement, win that critical third spot in the rotation. Kept the Padres off balance. Struck out only 3. He's walked 2 and hit 1. Myers, Hedges, Barmes scheduled in the 7th. Way outside, 3-1. Way outside again, leadoff walk. It could be a good sign for the Padres.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the San Diego Padres and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
You walk the leadoff man, he comes around to score about 1/3 of the time. It seems like a lot more. Chris Hatcher getting ready, pitched last night. Austin Hedges lays down a bunt, and it's a good one. Grandal the out with Utley covering at first. Sacrifice successful. Myers in scoring position. Clint Barmes the batter.
Well, perfectly executed by Austin Hedges and bunting it softly out front. Make that pitcher field it, but the bunt is fielded by the catcher. Executed nicely by Austin Hedges. Advancing Will Myers to second base.
See how he used his legs in dropping that bunt? Got right down where the ball was. Barmes has grounded out twice. His bid for a base hit the last time. One hopper back through the middle. Was snared by Wood. Good play made by the pitcher.
Well, the pitcher spot up next for the Padres, and interesting move. Melvin Upton Jr. has a bat, and he is going on the on-deck circle.
Barmes has had some big hits for the Padres. There's Melvin Upton Jr.
Now you wonder, Dick, this situation here with Hatcher warming up. Don Mattingly makes that move for Melvin. If they'll use their weapon, Brett Wallace.
Fouled at the plate. And Wallace has become one of the featured pinch hitters in baseball.
Yeah, one of those things that you're constantly thinking about if you're managing this game. The moves and counter moves.
Yeah, the cry beat LA rises. Tied him up with a breaking ball in under his hands. 0-2.
It looked like a curveball to me, and right under towards that back foot. Very difficult to stay inside that baseball.
One out. The Padres have the tying run at second. Will Myers. 1-0 game. And another pitch. Same spot in the dirt. Barmes goes after it, and the put out at first base. 2 away.
Another breaking ball out of the strike zone to Clint Barmas.
4th strikeout for Wood. And here's Upton. Had a triple in the Friday night win to drive in an insurance run.
Rick Honeycutt, the pitching coach of the Los Angeles Dodgers, out to talk to Alex Wood.
He struck out last night as a pinch hitter, Upton. We were talking last night, Mark Swinney. You were pointing out that Upton hasn't changed his stance, but he's changed the position of his head.
Yeah, and you take a look at the positioning of his head. It has a lot to do with his vision on the release point. In July 11th, you see it almost looks like he's looking at second base, and now just turning it. Look at the hole in his helmet. You can see a difference of his head position. It's not mechanically all the time fixing your swing. Sometimes it might be just putting your eyes on that release point.
Dodgers staying with Wood, 90 pitches. Myers with the leadoff walk and the sacrifice, and the fans trying to urge the Padres to come up with a base hit here, tie this game. Ball 1. Former teammates with the Atlanta Braves, Wood and Upton.
Jock Peterson pulled over on that right center gap because of that triple the other night.
In the dirt, good block by Grandal. Now Upton has the count in his favor, 2-0.
Yeah, if you're Will Myers at second base with 2 outs, you have to get a really good secondary lead. Because with the score, you would think with 2 outs, Glenn Hoffman, the third base coach, is going to wind him up.
Now the outfielders for the Dodgers are deep. Peterson, perhaps medium depth, but the corner outfielders are back. Over but low, 3-0. Jan Solarte on deck. As one of the 3 hits. I'm guessing a changeup on 3-0. That's what it was. 3-1. Wasn't going to give in a fastball on 3-0 just in case Upton was swinging.
1 pitch, 1 spot.
There's your tying run with 2 outs here in the 7th. Time called. Ball 4. A couple of walks, 4 in the game from Alex Wood, who may be running out of fuel, and we'll see whether or not Mattingly is going to make a pitching change. He's certainly pondering that possibility. He has Chris Hatcher ready if needed.
You'd think Hatcher is there for Jed Jerko.
Because if you bring him in now, you turn Solarte around to his stronger side, left-handed. He does have a single, strikeout, and a fielder's choice this evening. 2 good base runners, good speed aboard. Myers carrying the tying run and the potential go-ahead run. Upton at first. Tough hitter with runners in scoring position all season long.
A lot of indecision by Wood and Grandal. They're trying to get on the same page.
Quite a contrast in games. Last night, 8 home runs, 8-4 Dodgers. Night before, Padres outscoring LA 10-7, and then tonight a 1-0. Tight pitcher's duel, way outside, ball 1.
Well, if you're on Solarte, just taking a 2-0 approach right here. Alex Wood has been effectively wild, especially in this inning.
Fly ball to right. Ethier back near the path, morning path to make the out. And the Padres lead 2 more in the 7th.
Inning. We're working on Padres Live, the post-game show, which will be brought to you tonight by Cox Communications. When Steve Finley and I see you, it's a big night here. Obviously, it's huge. It's a packed house because everybody wants to see the Dodgers, but also because after the ball game, Will Ferrell's documentary debuts. It raises money for cancer. He's part of 10 different clubs during spring training. It's a lot of fun, and we're going to hear from Will Ferrell on the post-game show. Also tonight, gentlemen, we're going to hear from Pat Murphy, and we'll get you set for the 4th and final game of this series. And I got to tell you, they never let guys like me in sections like this, and for good reason. These are pretty sweet seats. And if there's a little something in my Christmas bonus from you, Mr. Enberg, tickets next year around here wouldn't be the worst thing. Just something to ponder.
Hey, you could umpire from there.
Buddy, I'm telling you, a necktie's nice, but these seats are a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I already have your Christmas gift.
Imagine him begging for a gift.
Yeah, another pocket square. I was going to give it to Sweeney, but he won't wear it.
I already have one.
Joaquin Benoit. The 8th inning will face Ethier, Crawford, and Grandal. Ethier 3 for 3. Has half of the Dodger hit total. 60th game now for the big right-hander. .94 in his first fastball.
Joaquin Benoit with Craig Kimbrell down Thursday night got his save for the Padres for the first win of this series.
1-0 Dodgers. The Padres have had only 2 1-0 decisions all year. And you have to go back to the first week of the season against the Giants when they split 1-0 wins on back-to-back games early April. Let's hope it's not another 1-0. That would spell a Dodger win, wouldn't it? Got that figured out. And he falls behind 3-0. Crawford on deck. His double in the 4th inning brought home Ethier, who had doubled leading off. That's the Dodger run. And a 4-pitch walk.
As promised earlier in the game, we have tonight's T-Mobile Strongest Fan photo. Tweet your photo using hashtag SDDataStrongFan for a chance to be shown in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. And thank you, Monty.
In a fighting mood, he got those fists clenched. It's been a tough fight tonight. So far, the Dodgers barely outpointing the Padres 1-0. Crawford takes a strike. Struck out, knocked in a run with the double, and a fielder's choice for Crawford this evening. 2 for 18 against Benoit. Line drive. Kemp has to play it on a hop. And hustling into second is Ethier, who had to play it halfway. And that Crawford just added again. 2 for 4 tonight. Hottest hitter against Padre pitching. 342 on the career. And he's 2 for 4 again.
Well, Dick, he's proven that he sees the ball very well. Simple approach and let that ball travel. Getting that foot down and drilling that line drive in front of Matt Kemp.
So 1st and 2nd, no one out. Grandal. 0 for 2 tonight. Tried to bunt for a base hit the last time. He's swinging and takes strike 1. Hit by a pitch in the 2nd, grounded out, and was thrown out by the pitcher. And Ron Renicky coming down to talk to Grandal, and that's almost as if he might have missed a sign. Maybe they want him to be bunting.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll give you a pitch, something to look for.
How about our Cholula flamethrower tonight?
94, and that's our guy, and that's hot sauce. I'm still not looking for a fish taco. I love hot sauce.
Yeah, he may have missed a sign. Now he's there to bunt. Bunts it in the air, and Hedges makes the catch, and he breaks the bat. Boy, Grandal is just in a horrendous slump. Now 0 for 33, and he can't even bunt. Mad at himself.
I think you were right, Dick. He missed a sign the previous pitch, and then bunting the bottom part of the baseball. Easy play for Austin Hedges, and a big out for the Padres.
Peterson has walked twice and grounded out. Changeup. Looks as if San Francisco is going to snap out of their losing streak. They have a 7-3 lead in the 9th inning at Colorado. The rookie Corey Seager on deck for the Dodgers. Very impressive. This series, his major league debut. Had a couple of hits last night. And 2 the night before. Another changeup, 1-1.
A good location with the changeup.
A walk to Ethier to open this 8th. Single for Crawford. They're aboard here with 1 out. And the 1-1 pitch to Jock Peterson. Left field, not hit hard. That's going to fall. Upton up with it. Here comes the runner to the plate. Here's the throw. Over Hedges. The run scores. Everyone moves up. It's 2-0 Dodgers. As Peterson dumps a flare into left field for an RBI single. And the leadoff walk comes around to score. Crawford did stop at second.
Well, it looked like he was sitting on this pitch, and he hit it off the end of the bat. But good read by Andre Ethier. He's had a nice night offensively. The throw comes in and goes back to the backstop. But reading that flare into left field by Andre Ethier was the difference.
Upton came up with it in shallow left. But Ethier, because of his base running instincts, made that a very tough play. No error on the play as Crawford moved to second. Grandal having made out. Peterson with the RBI, his 50th of the year. Can he limit the damage? Wood, the pitcher, is still in there. Hey, he's not going to square to bunt there. No, this isn't Wood. This is Seager. Impressive start for Seager. 4 for 9, 2 hits in each game, 3 RBIs. One and one.
He backs him off with the fastball in. Put another thought in the rookie's mind. See if he goes to that changeup.
Most of the baseball rating services rank this 21-year-old as the best minor league prospect. And he has shown nothing but talent in the 2 games here. Good fastball, 1-2.
Yeah, big swing by the youngster. You can see him just working underneath the baseball.
Thursday night he had an RBI single, knocked in 2 and a double, scored a couple of runs. And last night 2 for 5, single, a double, knocked in a run with a ground out. That's a nice swing, doesn't he?
He does. A nice approach. Typically you'll see some young players come up to the big leagues and take a bigger swing, a longer swing. 21 years of age, excuse me. Pretty short swing, and Mark McGuire, the hitting coach, has to love this approach.
Change up, 2-2. Andre Ethier, quite a night for him. 2 doubles, a single, and a walk. He scored both Dodger runs. And a good night for the left-hander Alex Wood. 7 shutout innings, gave up 3 singles, walked 4, hit 1, and struck out 3. And the Padres, who see left-handers rarely, will see another tomorrow. Brett Anderson will be on the mound for LA. He's 8-8. Andrew Kashner gets the start for the Padres. 12:30 our TV time here on Fox Sports San Diego. Fouls it off, not a piece. It's just been a limited exposure to Seager, but we haven't seen him take any bad swings.
Yeah.
And you'd think a rookie might chase, might take an awkward swing. Everything that he's offered at has been a solid stroke. Again, the 2-2. Fly to left, and Upton toward the line has a play. 2 away. Top of the order, and Jimmy Rollins 0 for 4 tonight. One thing about these Dodgers, against right-handed pitching, they can load up the lineup with left-handed bats. 7 of their 8 regulars in the game tonight hit from the left side. Only Turner, the cleanup hitter, batting right.
And in September, he has 6 right-handers off the bench as well.
Fly ball to right, shallow. Kemp comes in, and that'll do it. But the leadoff walk comes around to score. A blue pit by Peterson, and the Dodgers now lead 2-0. Jerko, Kemp, and Upton scheduled in the last half of the 8th for San Diego. They need a couple of runs. Let's see what they can do. Jed Jerko leads it off. Here's our pick the stick in-game update. No one making much gain tonight because of the pitching of Alex Wood. I picked Matt Kemp, and he has a couple of singles. 2 points, leads the way. Hope that doesn't win you a round of golf. Let's hope you get more points somewhere in that lineup, as that would mean the Padres might score some runs.
Right-hander Chris Hatcher takes the mound for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and fastball, slider, and splitter. Velocity on the fastball reaches up to 98 miles an hour.
Jerko struck out and grounded out twice. Hatcher, a very interesting story, was an outstanding pitcher. University of North Carolina at Wilmington, drafted in the 5th round by the Marlins. That's not what's interesting. What's interesting is he made it to the big leagues in 2010 as a catcher. He went 0 for 6, and the next year they converted him to pitcher, the Marlins, and he made the big leagues the next year. That's a rare feat. The first player to make his big league debut as a catcher, and then the next year came back as a pitcher. Hadn't been done since 1936.
Wow. I commend him for that. Kenley Jansen, the closer for the Dodgers, also a converted catcher, 2-pitcher.
1-2.
Pedro Baez, the third baseman, turned a pitcher. And you have those powerful arms, and they can transfer that. Kenley Jansen, a established closer in the big leagues.
We're likely to see him the next inning. 2-2 to Jerko. Padres need a base runner. Bring that tying run to the plate. Fly ball behind second. Fairly deep right field. Ethier there. One out as we revisit our keys to the game, brought to you by your San Diego Honda dealers.
We talked about laying the wood. Well, Alex Wood had the best of the Padres tonight. Scattered only 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, no earned runs. Wanted to try to get the ball to Craig Kimbrell, and it looks like the Padres are trailing 2-0. Hopefully they can tack on 3, and you'll see that jungle come into play.
1 out to Kemp. 2 for 3 against Wood. Both sharp singles to left field, beating the shift. Interestingly, here with the right-handed pitcher in the mound, they don't execute the shift. It's pretty well straight up on the infield. Strike 1.
Well, they're straight up because of the velocity of Hatcher. See, Utley moved over this way. And normal positioning on the left side.
One and one. 96 again. He's been right there with the fastball. Hatcher pitched an inning last night and gave up the home run to pinch hitter Brett Wallace. Late on that swing again at 96. This is why the Dodgers are in first place. On one night they hit 5 home runs to beat you with the bats, and then the next night they're shutting you out 2-0. Right field, Ethier back to the edge of the warning pack, make the second out. So 2 away, and here's Justin Upton. Upton has grounded out, walked, and took a third strike the last time. A slider at 90. Yep, he went around Ted Barrett, the crew chief, there at first. Ooh, laid that breaking ball in the heart of the plate, but Upton couldn't pull the trigger. 1-2. Luis Avilan, acquired in the same trade as Alex Wood from Atlanta. He chases. Hatcher, quick work of the Padres in the 8th inning. We go to the 9th, 2-0. LA. Tomorrow, the final game of this 4-game series, 12:30 our time here on Fox Sports San Diego. Andrew Kashner will go for the Padres, looking for his 6th win of the year against lefty Brett Anderson of the Dodgers. He is 8-8. And based on Alex Wood's left-handed offerings tonight, the Padres got to figure out how to come up with some base hits against southpaw pitching.
Well, they got to come up with a big win here, and for Bud Norris, he has to get him back into that dugout as soon as possible. This will be his 12th game in a Padre uniform. Last worked the last game against the Texas Rangers.
He'll face Utley, Gonzalez, and Turner. This is where the shortage of left-handed pitching in the bullpen for the Padres becomes an apparent weakness, because you play a team like the Dodgers with all those left-handed hitters, you don't have anyone to come in and challenge them.
Well, back-to-back days by Zepchinski and Garces also threw last night. You wonder if they're available tonight, but you're right, Dick, when you don't have a surplus of lefties to try to combat the left-handed hitters of the Los Angeles Dodgers, makes it very difficult.
Utley, a double and a single, and he's lined out twice. That outstanding running catch by Myers in center took a hit away from Utley. 1-2. 96 on the fastball from Norris. Always a starter, Bud Norris, making the adjustment to the bullpen. And he admitted he's still learning the craft. Good breaking ball gets Utley. Strikeout number 1. Brings up Adrian Gonzalez.
Well, with the fastball velocity, you start cheating on that fastball, especially in, and the breaking ball exposes Utley. Nice pitch by Bud Norris.
Norris last year with the Orioles had his best ever season. He won 15 games as a starter, 15-8. He had a respiratory infection this year and lost weight and weakness and a job. He was out there on waivers, and the Padres claimed him, making a relief pitcher out of him. Gonzalez 0 for 3 and a walk. Looking ahead, the last of the 9th inning for the Padres, it'll be Norris, Will Myers, and Austin Hedges, apparently against Kenley Jansen, the closer for the Dodgers. Turner on deck, and a 4-pitch walk to Gonzalez. Second time he's walked tonight. And with one away, it'll bring up the right-hander Turner. Turner is grounded out twice, flied out, and struck out. Padres haven't had a lot of success against this right-handed hitter, but tonight wearing the collar.
Well, Bud Norris needs to induce that ground ball again. The Dodgers 112 times this year they have grounded into a double play.
5 straight out of the strike zone from Norris, so young Hedges goes out to settle him down.
Justin Turner has grounded into 10 double plays on the year.
There's a strike.
Well, you think about the changes that Ron Renneke had to make. He was managing the Brewers, and Now he's a third base coach. Usually he wears a normal hat in the dugout. Well, you got to wear a helmet at third base. A protective helmet.
That's a good plan, but he's just not accustomed to doing that. Ground ball weakly to second. They'll get the lead runner back to first. No throw by Barmas. So safe on the fielder's choice is Turner. 4-6 on the putout at second. And that'll bring up Ethier, who has been the hitting star tonight. 2 doubles, a single, and then he walked and scored. He scored both Dodger runs. Getting an even 300 going for 3 for 3 tonight. That's the best Dodger batting average. Strike one at 94.
Oh, great location with that fastball by Bud Norris, down and away. That had some explosion in the hitting zone. See if he goes back to that pitch.
Three for 3 for the man whose age is 3-3. Snap throw, and they just narrowly missed picking him off. And they tag by Norris. He had to do a full 180 to make the tag. That was the difference.
This is perfect. Fastball in and a quick throw on his knees to Derek Norris. Derek Norris has to pick that, and if it's in the air, I think they have a real good shot at Justin Turner. It's that inexperience of being that first baseman for Norris.
2-2 now to Ethier, who was an All-America at Arizona State. I wonder if he and Pat Murphy must have just missed each other.
Well, you see Austin Hedges on that left knee, and the accuracy with the arm and the strength in the arm.
Swing and a miss. They finally get Ethier. A couple of strikeouts for Bud Norris here in the ninth. And we're going to see Kenley Jansen. The Padres need 2 to tie. We go to the bottom of the ninth. We've just seen one Norris on the mound. We're going to see another to lead off the Padre ninth. Derek Norris. Starter Alex Wood handcuffed the Padres, 7 shutout innings, 3 strikeouts. Only 2 runs for the Dodgers. Carl Crawford with that RBI double, and then a blue pit by Peterson knocked in another in the 8th inning. And Ethier scores both runs, and the Dodgers with a 2-0 lead. And how about Tyson Ross? He's 0-5 lifetime against the Dodgers. He's pitched very well. He gives up 1 run tonight, and he stands to lose again to LA unless the Padres can come up with a rally here in the 9th inning against a very tough relief pitcher.
Well, you see the hope here. Most blown saves in the MLB leaders. The Dodgers in 2nd place behind the Braves. Kenley Jansen takes the mound. The big right-hander. Fastball, cut fastball, and a slider. And he will quick pitch out of that stretch.
He's blown only 2 save attempts.
He did blow a save opportunity last year against the Padres.
Norris takes strike 1, 90 on the fastball.
You really don't want to get in that take mode with him. He has that cutting action on the fastball. And we also saw the slider out of his hands last night.
Norris is lined out and grounded out and popped up. 0-2.
Padres Live after this one. Mike Pomerantz and Steve Finley will break everything down. We'll also hear Pat Murphy, the manager, on this game. And a little bit of Will Ferrell.
Ooh, didn't miss by much. 1-2.
I think Grandal's setup actually messed up Chris Conroy. He set up to throw that high fastball, and he pulled that on the inside corner. Chris Conroy's done a nice job tonight with the strike zone.
Blown away. And he chases. 1 away. Brings up Will Myers. He slid deep to right and walked twice.
Well, this is the slider with 2 strikes. Has that same plane as the fastball and just drops in the hitting zone. And a pick by Grandal.
Myers looking for his first hit since coming back from rehab and a long hiatus because of that wrist injury and wrist surgery. Foul back. Corey Spangenberg is in the on-deck circle. Pitch is due to hit next.
I like that swing by Myers because last night he saw a heavy dose of sliders by Kenley Jansen.
Does have a hit against Jansen earlier this year. Boy, he's got a catcher's bill, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Live arm. That's a wicked cutter. Popped up. Shallow and right. Ethier, who, by the way, did play for Pat Murphy at Arizona State. 2 away. The Padres 1 out away from being shut out again. They lead the major leagues in being whitewashed. 18 times they've lost without scoring a run. Spangenberg will try to keep it going.
Dick, you go back to that series of plays. Matt Kemp getting picked off at first, a 3-2 count by Justin Upton. After a lengthy delay, he strikes out, and then Derek Norris pops out to the first baseman. That was the frustrating time for the San Diego Padres tonight.
That took the heart out of hope. But you play till you make the final out. Spanshenberg gets on there and bring the tying run to the plate. Ball one. Brett Wallace, pinch hitter deluxe. Pinch hit home run last night, is on deck if Spanshenberg can get on. 3 pinch hit home runs for Wallace. 1-1. Greinke and Kershaw enjoying their role as spectators tonight. We were going to see Greinke tomorrow, but they moved him back a date, gave him a day's rest. Roll to the right side. He might be able to beat this out. Utley with a flip, and the ball game is over. For the 19th time this year, Padres taste a shutout loss. It's 2-0 Los Angeles. Mike Pomerantz.
Dick, thanks very much. When Steve and I see on Padres Live, the postgame show, you're going to hear from Pat Murphy, and we're going to break down Alex Wood. What made him so tough today? Steve will give you his thoughts. All that and more in just a couple of moments on Padres Live, the postgame show.